Dorothy. Oh, I just wanted to compliment you because buy food, they don't know where to sit. Yeah. Hey, bro.
Lenna's running behind. That.
As a yes, it's been.
I mean, it's
Phased project.
There is that we have gone.
What I was going to touch on. Keep this.
Dirty point finger. There's two guys that are gonna go you. They can't get the investigative job. People say four. It just depends on how fast the job is.
I've been there a long time. I've been there, but I'm off bad.
All right, everybody. Today is Monday, May 12th. The time is now 5:05 in the evening. We are here at the Mesilla Town Hall in the boardroom for a work session. On this work session, we'll be discussing our ICIP and reviewing that, as well as the budget review on for this upcoming fiscal year. With that in mind, Trustee Cadena did tell me that she was going to be just a little bit late. So we will, my recommendation would be that we look at the ICIP review and review some of those projects first and the potential there. And then we can, once Trustee Cadena gets here, we can go through the full budget review as a whole. Are we okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Fantastic. So I did give you a copy of the ICIP listing that we have. This does not include projects for 2031, as you'll note, because those are what we'll be kind of discussing a little bit today. And really thinking about, for 32 in the planning and moving forward as we move forward with these projects. Just to kind of touch on these projects that we have, as you see, we have the amounts on here that have been funded to date. Our 2027 is what we received this year. So out of this, what we look at is the Mesilla signage replacement and construction for $25,000 has been received. The Marshall's Vehicle Department purchase and equip for $75,000 has been received. Mesilla roadway improvements phase 2 for $200,000 has been received. The boardroom facility for town hall additions, that request was $2.8 million. We have received $150,000 of that to get the initial design completed with that. And then we do have On a side note on this, we do have congressionally directed spending requests that have been submitted with our congressional districts to see if we can receive any federal funding to help with the town hall additions. This is broken out as a $10.65 million project overall that's been on our ICIP list for several years. That first phase is for the addition of the cultural and public use space to go onto the south side of the building. The 4.8 is for the administrative side for the fire department as well as marshal's department, and then the 3,000 is for the bays specifically, or sorry, 3 million is for the bays specifically for the fire department addition. Just in case you all haven't seen that as well, as far as it pertains to the plans that were done back in 2004, I printed out a copy of those plans so that you can see that side. Excuse me. So those are those on that side. Other funding that's been received to date is the 177,000 for the internet and security upgrades to the community center. The playground equipment as well in the amount of 75,000. We do have the grant requests, which we'll hopefully hear back on from historic preservation for 150,000 for the update to our historic inventory. We did apply for the 750,000 for through TPF funding for Paisano Road reconstruction. So that one is already working a pipeline. We will be continuing the Mesilla water system and well upgrades next year in going after those with Colonias funding, because we have the initial funding to complete the design for this year. On the second page, moving forward, we do have electric vehicle charging stations. While that request is for 300,000, we do have 1 million that has been allotted by DOT to put those in. We do have as well other money that was awarded as 125,000 for commemorative park upgrades to happen on that. So that's funding that we have received this year so far. We also did go after 450,000 in a grant request for the visitor center upgrade here to town hall as well. Request specific for 2028 is kind of what we can look at in moving things around between 28, 29, 30, and 31. And then, of course, adding projects to the list. We have those projects that we can always add projects throughout any specific time at any given point in time. But there's a specific date that certain things need to be on and requested for in order for the legislators to consider it in this upcoming year. So we want to try to meet all of those deadlines with a good solid list that's outlined with all of this. So one of the things that came out of the request in looking at is it what meant a lot to our residents more than anything in conversations that we've had or that I've had that several of you have been a part of is the historic inventory update. So one of my biggest requests with you all is that if we don't receive the funding through historic preservation through that grant and that doesn't get pushed forward, that we actually move that to be one of the #1 priorities for our 2028 deal. The other is to continue a request to move forward is to get that security access control upgrade to this building in specific and move that to a 2028 priority. And then for the fire department in specific is the fire department SEBA packs to make sure that that stays as a 2028 priority. If you guys are okay with those three in specific staying as a 28 priority, otherwise we can adjust it, anything and everything, however you see. Any discussion? A lot of information. Is there any projects that you all would like to have added to the list or moved around in between any of the projects that we have listed? Some of these projects that are on here are projects that we have been on here for quite a while, and some of them have been added on. Or do you have any questions, Trustee?
I had a question about bleachers at the plaza, because I think we've had discussions about replacing them with something else. Would that be included?
Most definitely. So what we can look at is, if you want to have that as a priority, we can have that. We can either add that in specifically and phase it out, because if you notice, some of these are phased so that we can do planning and design and request funding for planning and design on something like that. And then, of course, engage community input on what that would look like, and go through all of that process in planning and design, and that with generalized numbers for funding that can be updated depending upon the phase of planning and outside of planning and design.
Because I'd like to explore the possibility of replacing them with that composite material, some kind of seating with a shading on it that could be,
Okay.
that probably wouldn't be permanent, just for events and, things like that on the plaza.
To Jerry's request, can we also look at just tables and extra areas for them on the plaza? Because that's something we discussed when we were talking about bleachers, shade structures, and whether they're permanent or just for fiestas or events.
Great.
And then I know we had looked at some kind of system for the plaza, for either ambient music or announcements on the plaza and things like that. Do we have funding for that, or is that something that we have to look into?
That would be something we'd look into.
Can we add that as well?
As a 2028 for both of these?
Yes.
Trustee, we're just going through a little bit of the ICIP listings and not touching on the budget yet until you got here. Thank you, Trustee. No, thank you for being here. All right. And out of the conversations as well, something to add to the listing is shade structures to go into Town Hall Park in particular, or in all parks if we wanted to, and ensure, because that was kind of a high detail for that, but that's up to you all on how we look at that.
Yeah, we can add that as well.
Any feelings?
It's getting hotter.
So structures for the town hall here.
What's that? No, what's Town Hall Park is the public safety.
Oh, town hall park. Okay.
Safety,
That's right. Yeah.
public safety building park.
I had a question on one item, sidewalk refurbishment and replacement. Does that include the bricks, the brick sidewalk?
Yeah, it's in a lot of these that you see on here are left open for that reason, so that whatever the funding is, where it's needed for refurbishing and replacement.
Then I had a question on the plaza tables and umbrellas. Are these fixtures, or are they going to be able to be moved?
And that was something that was added last year in there to be a possibility of shade on the plaza to replace the bleachers, to have larger concrete tables there with removable umbrellas, and to have that. But if we review other options, that one would go away.
Okay.
Just my comments on that I would think that maybe they would need to be not permanent because of when we rent out the plaza for weddings or other
Other
events,
events.
I think that could be perhaps an obstacle to those wanting to rent it out. And then I'm thinking of the Day of the Dead too, where how all the altars are just, the plaza's covered with all that. So
Mhm.
I think that permanent structures of the tables would be,
Well, that's the thing. These can all, because the what's listed here is all from last year, from what we approved last year, and any of them can be struck on here. In fact, so we can strike that one from here easily. And I would probably recommend that we also look at, because we have alarm system replacement on here as well. So we probably can look at striking that one if we're going to be doing the security access control upgrades, because that would be an upgrade to the alarm system as a total as well. Or it has been identified as that in a quote that I've received.
So that alarm system replacement?
Yeah.
But I don't know about striking.
So sorry, trustee, you missed the first part because you missed it. So there have been requests to add plaza to review and look at phased funding to review the seating on the plaza that would potentially include a removal of the bleachers for to do a composite kind of seating area with removable non-permanent shading for the plaza. And then the other one was to look at adding in ambient and music or the potential of some sort of speaker system to the plaza as well.
And that, so
So those would be potential 2028 items added, as well as the shade structures for the park. And we can, like I told the rest of the board, is that we can move any of these items around however you all feel. If you want to add them as a higher priority or push them down to the bottom of the list, that's what this whole conversation is truly about.
I have another comment about the plaza. As far as when there's fiestas, the vendors need electricity, and they sometimes have extension cords running, which presents a safety issue. Is there any way to have something built in, like pods or something, where vendors could plug in that is closer to where they're at?
It's something that can be reviewed and looked at. Yeah. Precisely, and I think that's the biggest part. I mean, there's no pun intended with that, because we can. That's the whole point of looking at this and the potential of adding it to a capital improvement list, and that's why I want you all as the board to really truly be a part of this process and adding items and thinking of getting community input and really looking at what's available out there.
I mean, I think the plaza is so important to everything, right? Because it is at the center of town. And maybe we should look at it, up here more like, what do we need for fiestas? What do we need for private events? What do we need for just the increasing heat situation we're in? That we could do it every, because there's music on the plaza too. It's usually in the evening, but it would be, I mean, I think there'd be a lot more activity on the plaza if there was more shade during the summer, because it's so hot. So maybe we should look at the plaza as what is air and, you know, electrical outlets that are more convenient than, you know, 100-foot electrical cord, if we can avoid it, and those kinds of things. Maybe we could in here do something a little bit more comprehensive, I guess, for the plaza, and just get a real, you know, committee or thinking about what is everything we need for the plaza and how could we phase that over time, and what would be the most important? Is it the electrical outlets? Is it the shade? Is it the seating? Is it, you know?
Yeah.
If that's not what you have. Because that's one of those things, it comes up there all the time, it's always on this plan. But it's hard to make progress if we're
Well, and that's trustee to that point. That's exactly why we can look at phased funding in all of this, is we can set aside a specific amount to request for the project feasibility and research to be done first, and then it can be phased into the, you know, the seeding can be the second year in that phase, and then electricity and music can be a third phase, and because those are kind of tied together. Just remember that any work to the plaza does require a little bit of extra oversight, not just from our community, but also by SHPO and the federal side, because it is a federally designated monument. Anything else? What other projects might you want to see added on here? Anything in specific?
Just based off our meetings with the community and the things that they wrote down and our work on the comprehensive plan, a lot of our residents just want upgrades to things that they can do in general, as far as walking paths, our parks being upgraded. I know there's a mention of a splash pad, bathroom upgrades. I think all of that's important, but I don't want that to be above our road improvements, because we have a ton of road projects on here, and I think that's something we really have to work on, as far as Snow and Estrada, McDowell. So I do want to add those projects that our residents are really eager to have in our community, but I don't think that should be above any of our road projects at the moment.
Some of the road projects, I will note, thank you, trustee, for bringing that up as well. I will note that we are planning through that, it's because I've been working with Lorenzo to figure out the plan for which roads we're going to go after for TPF funding, LGRF funding, and other road funding specifically available for road improvements and upgrades. Trustee Nevares.
I had a question on Parque de los Leones. Is this going to be a few years back they talked about connecting Santana and looping it around the playing fields to connect to Calle Primera, I think it's, and then coming out on Calle Segunda. Is that what we're talking about here?
A lot of these, and trustee, to be blunt and to answer questions on that specifically, is a lot of these are left fully to interpretation. There was very little information that was shared from the previous administration on the projects that we have on here and the thought behind them. So, you know, those of you trustees that have sat on the board for a while probably know more information on those projects through discussion on that, because I have heard from some residents where there was that loop to be built. I've also heard where there was the potential of extending the one on the south side and building a bridge across so that we have the connection of Santa Ana
Santana continues on the other
on the other side. So I know that was part of a discussion there as well. So, but there again, a lot of these are left to interpretation and however we want to move forward as the current.
To make sure, because the previous trustee several years ago told me about the plan to do the loop, and
Mhm.
so.
But that's why we have these conversations on this, and then that way we can create the solid plan that communicates for
So
the
with
for
that, we can
future.
all have input. And we're not taking a preconceived plan.
Right.
Okay.
Any other? Maybe another thing to consider that came out in as a high priority in the meetings that I had with the community was the creation of art installations and cultural storytelling spaces. That might be added to the ICIP just so that we have that. Remember that these funding requests that we add into the ICIP are requests that are specific. They're capital requests and improvements for the town, but they're not specific that we ask the legislators for these items in turn. It's that we have them on a list. It creates a control number. That way we can go after other alternative funding sources to try to get it, which as you've seen, that's what we really tried hard to do in this last year.
I think that'd be an important
I'd-
addition because it's big. It was a big theme in the meetings, right? I hate to say this, but some of these are like pie in the sky. Realistic here.
Shoot large.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
really the thing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
If we want to, a lot of the other parts of this, and as we heard in our comprehensive plan joint work session, is that a lot of the public discussion was about the acquisition or the potential acquisition of more real property that could be utilized for several different reasons, and that can be something that is broadly added on as a focus, if you will. Any other discussion or any other ideas on ICIP in specific? If not, then we'll move on to a budget. I gave you all an updated budget review worksheet with a summary from what was included in the packet because there was a number on here that we caught that was incorrect under the salary, or sorry, the operating expense for one of the funds. So just breaking it down, it's pretty straightforward, just as we did for you last year. Your beginning cash balance is the balance that's out of the LGBMS Q3 reporting that we have in there, and then we did a forecast for the upcoming 2 months that are going to be included in that based upon what's trending within those departments. Our investments are investments that are held. DFA revenues, these are projected revenues based upon the balances and how we've been operating and balances forward, and the general operations of that of the departments. And then the yellow in specific, DFA FY25 personnel expenses. This is real-time personnel expenses that we have in-house. The 26 preliminary personnel expenses that are the next line item are the preliminary expenses that I proposed to you and left you the full breakdown with a 5% request increase which was a 3% COLA, 2% increase across the board for all departments. In that, we also cleaned up in the personnel expenses cleaned up the accounts for all of the insurances, the Lori, you got insurance, the retirement, and then there was the two main ones. Okay. And cleaning that up. And then the blue is the operating expenses, what we have presently in there. And then the preliminary operating expenses for 2026. And then the green is your total on the full expenses for the town. The extended out is what you see as that extended ending cash for the year. That we do have the 1/12 reserve that's in there, which we will continually be adding in investment funding to maintain that. And that's the requirement that we need to have in there. And then we have the available cash balance at the end. Keep in mind that in all of these, that what you see at the end is the available cash balance through full operations if we did not bring any money in to the town, and fullness of that. So what you see, major changes in here in the of course those that are noted in red in specific, just in payroll, starting off with that. The Public Works Department, where we don't have the personnel expenses in there, we moved that down to be under the enterprise fund in specific. So we still have that allocated. It's just allocated under the enterprise fund as a total there. The recreation fund, sorry to take a step back on that. Recreation fund is that's granted and awarded through El Paso Electric, as well as other sources that Dorothy goes after. The El Paso Electric is one that's there that we consistently get every year. So we budgeted for that. And then if we get any extra, we'll adjust all of them to meet that. And that's why you notice the beginning cash balance in specific for EMS, fire, and law enforcement to be zero, because we're zeroing out those accounts before the end of this year to make sure that we have, unless there's allocated transfers from the fire department in specific, which there might be money that we do move over. That's what you see as that $20,000 in potential transfers in that. And that will be adjusted towards the end of the year with that transfer, hopefully going towards the SEBA PAC purchases. The American Rescue is zeroed out because we closed that out. That was that ARPA funding that we had received on that. Questions so far? A lot of numbers, a lot of information. Operating expenses, you'll notice that in specific, and I just highlighted some of these, that some of them are like the Marshal's Department here is higher in operating. And this next year we anticipate it being lower, and that's because of all the transfers that have transferred into finance in specific. So we have a bunch of agreements and contracts that you notice that the finance budget has for the 2026 year has the agreements and contracts as well as any of the now I lost my train of thought on that one. Agreements and contracts, and then the no, equipment and repair was moved down into Public Works. That's why their budget is higher. Dues and subscriptions. Thank you, Gloria. I knew you'd catch that because you see it all the time. And utilities was transferred all to finance as well for the entire town. Questions so far? On the preliminary numbers that we have for 2026 for law enforcement, as well as fire, as well as EMS, and all of these are projected numbers with baselines from what we've received in previous years. We do anticipate that they can potentially grow to be a lot higher in there. The fire department as well, and that fire protection fund from last year to this year also includes the change because we just paid off that ambulance, and so that's not included in that amount in there. No, that's what that main difference is on that. The difference that you see at the estimated ending cash for SRO for Fund 29 is a difference between what the salaries are that we pay our current two SROs versus what the amount is that we receive from the schools to help out with paying that. So that amount is being deducted directly from the budget for the marshal's department under the as an expense, personnel expense under the general fund. The majority of the operating expenses for each department stayed the same and consistent year over year, with the exception of those that had transfers for, like it was mentioned already, for dues and subscriptions, as well as any other related fees, such as the utilities being all pulled under finance, all of the buildings being pulled under public works, and just streamlining a lot of that and cleaning it up so that we didn't have it, especially in the general fund, have it all under different funding sources and areas. But for the most part, every department stayed consistent year over year. We did anticipate a little bit of extra in finance in as well in the operating expenses this upcoming year because we do have a large technology purchase that we do need to do for the entire town. And that technology purchase is for computers in specific, because computers come this, I think it's August or September with the update to whatever the newest Windows is. A lot of our computers are all outdated and will fully be out of compliance and need to be replaced. So we want to budget for that for every department that we have going. Questions so far? As you can see at the very, very bottom, under DFA FY26 revenues going down to the total reconciles, a little over $6 million in total revenues is anticipated in there across the board through all departments, through all funds, with the ending total expenses for the year being just a little bit over that at $6,065,000. So just a little bit over with the expenses. But I will note that if you've been paying attention to all of the reporting that's been running through each department, that they've been running their budgets tight, which is a great job on all the departments here. But also at that, I think that we are also being very modest on our revenues and the potential revenues that are coming in. I think we'll see that grow in a considerable amount this next year with some of the changes that we're making along the way. Look at numbers all day, so questions, trustees?
Not right now.
Not as many numbers as Gloria, but does this all make sense? Any questions at all? If there aren't any questions, then we can go ahead and end the work session. If everybody's good with that. Feel good? Okay. So the time is now 5:42 in the evening, and we have ended our work session. I will, and I know that our agenda does call for that we will start our regularly scheduled meeting after the work session, but I will call for a 5-minute recess just to take a quick breather before we jump into our regularly scheduled meeting. So we will reconvene at 5:48.
Which numbers do you
Who's here?
No.
I remember you last over there.
Okay, maybe you ready?
It's out here.
One for you. One for you.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
John's your favorites?
What's that?
I'm asking Fritz if he wants to read crap. Does he not read glasses?
You want to catch me?
Mayor Russell, these are not finalized.
What's that?
They're not finalized.
These are preliminary.
Yes.
It's all preliminary.
Any discrepancy we note should be noted in what manner?
What's that?
A discrepancy.
Just bring to my attention.
Okay. Well, yes, that's-
Word of glory.
In proximity to it.
We already had a bus here.
It's just for the doors.
Yeah, but. What is it?
It's the firehouse.
It's like a bus here. Yes, as soon as the bus hit. But they had a building.
I don't know. I haven't been to that place since I was a kid.
Yeah, it is. Substation doors.
And again, how much
Benny.
Well, you know, like that.
Benny.
Well, it's not that.
Benny, I need to speak for you.
Irish stuff.
Yeah, we never.
Mr. Conrad. Okay.
I feel somebody behind me and I saw the blue. I didn't even, you're so quiet, I didn't even notice you were not there, Jerry. Yeah.
Across the road. It's better because the chisel drop.
I'm sorry, it's awful.
Good to see you. It's good to be seen. We've got to.
It's gonna be fabulous. They say Thursday's the first. I
I'm actually planning about, they're my house, I'm planning about. I'm planning about. I'm finding tomatoes, chili, jalapenos, zucchini. Heck yeah. I'm changing careers. Where?
There's not, it's not me, it's just a substance.
It's got tomatoes.
Sometimes a good purge is okay. Don't start the fun.
All right, today is Monday, May 12th, 2025. The time is now 5:51 in the evening. We're here at the Mesilla Town Hall for the regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is roll call and determination of a quorum. Gloria, if you would, please. Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Mayor,
Present.
Trustee Cadena,
Present.
Trustee Johnson Burek. Here. Trustee Nevares.
Present.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is changes and approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevares. And unless there's objection or discussion, the motion will carry with unanimous consent. Thank you for approval of the agenda as it's been presented. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda that does include the BOT meeting minutes for April 28, 2025 for public hearing, work session, and regular meeting. Approval of PZHAC case 061997 for 2547 Calle Norte, submitted by Rosalina Contreras, seeking permission to restore the rear and east side of her adobe home, walls and doors included in the historic residential zone, and approval of PZHAC case 06199 for 1901 Kaipekana, submitted by Mr. Sidney Gale and Michael Drew Dutcher, requesting approval to construct a primary residence on the property zoned historic residential.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevares. And unless there's objection or discussion, the motion will carry with unanimous consent. Thank you for approval of the consent agenda that does include the BOT meeting minutes for April 28, 2025, approval of PZHAC case 061997, and approval of PZHAC case 061999. Next item on the agenda is two presentations this evening, both being given by the fire department. So, Mr. Marshall, if you would, or sorry, Mr. Fire Chief, if you would, for the first one.
Mayor and Board of Trustees, we spoke about this one before, and now we can finally formally do this. So back in December, on Christmas Eve, we were working the plaza, the luminarias on the plaza, and we got a call for a choking at one of the restaurants. And while the fire department was running around trying to get vehicles through the crowds and everything, Detective Lopez ran there and was first on scene, was able to give the Heimlich maneuver and save somebody's life, and that person lived to see Christmas Day with their family. As part of that, I'm also part of an organization, the Sons of the American Revolution, that came out and gave you the coins. We submitted for a Lifesaver Award for Detective Lopez, and she received that earlier this month, or in April. She was actually able to get a medal and an award, but we got her certificate finally, was being printed, and now we can give that to her. And please, everybody, thank you. And the whole point of those awards is really, like I said, she didn't want to get that award, obviously, because she's like, I'm just doing my job. I'm like, no, your job could have been scene secure, wait for the fire department. And I told her that. She jumped in, and there were a lot of other people in that restaurant that didn't do anything. Right, and that's why the award. And I hope more people will step up and do something, because we all can't be there all the time. A lot of these things are in the right place at the right time with the right training and the right state of mind. And she had all of those. There were a lot of people that had right place, right time. Some of them had the right training, but nobody jumped in. So just keep that in mind. The other one is supposed to be for me, but that sounds really weird. So I'm going to let my wife and son are the ones that showed up tonight. So that's what we have.
All right. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Fire Chief Greg Whited has successfully completed the process that awards the professional designation of Chief Fire Officer to the Commission on Professional Credentialing, met on 7 April 2025, to confer that designation. Fire Chief Greg Whited becomes one of only 2,000 CFOs worldwide, 13 in New Mexico, and 2 in New Mexico that have both the CFO and Fire Marshal designation. This designation program is a voluntary program designed to recognize individuals that demonstrate their excellence in service in 7 measured components, including experience, education, professional development, professional contributions, association membership, community involvement, and technical competence. In addition, all applicants are required to identify future professional development plans. The CFO designation program uses a comprehensive peer review model to evaluate candidates seeking the credential. The Commission on Professional Credentialing awards the designation only after an individual successfully meets all organization stringent criteria. Achieving this designation signifies that Fire Chief Greg Whited career commitment to the fire and emergency services. The professional designation is valid for 3 years. Maintaining the designation requires the recipients to show continued growth in the areas of professional development, professional contributions, active association membership, and the community involvement, as well as adhere to strict code of professional conduct. This demonstrates Fire Chief Greg White's commitment to continual excellence and his dedication to the fire service and the town of Mesilla. So go ahead and pin him.
Don't stab me, it's a white shirt.
Seem to remember you doing the same thing.
I didn't stab you.
I feel like it's only payback at this point.
Fire Chief. Congratulations to you both and great job and thank you for your service. And I do believe that your son was right in that, Chief, that he needed to jab that into you. I think that's tradition from what I understand, right? So,
Yes, it is.
so we missed on that point. Next time. But great job. Thank you, Deputy. All right. Such an amazing team that we have in the Public Safety Department. So wanted to share that. Next item on the agenda is public input on the cases that are being heard this evening. This is where the public is invited to address the board on any of the items that are listed under action and consideration in particular. If there's any other comments outside of that, there's another point of public input given at the end of the meeting that can be where other information can be put in. So if there's any input to be given on the cases being heard this evening or the business, please step to the podium and state your name for the record.
Veronica Garcia. Okay, first on the vector control agreement, it always has been for years when they spray. We don't spray on Calle de los Huertos because of the bees and also on Calle de Picacho. It always has been that for years, so I hope you guys continue doing that as well. And then also on the preliminary budget, I'm hoping you guys can have a meeting with the court because the numbers that Ramona just pulled up do not match the numbers you guys just passed out to the judge. So, and it's not off by a couple $100, you're looking thousands. So I'm hoping two of you guys can meet with Miss Ramona and the judge and get the number space correct on those. I'd appreciate that. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
Mary Helen Raichi, Calle de Santiago. I'd just like to comment on the public art and put my 2 cents in for the commemorative park across from Chala's, the large letters that spell out Mesilla in the rust color. When I look at that park and I drive by it, I really think it needs something. And I haven't been to Mexico that often, but when I have, that is really a wonderful place for people to stand and get their photos taken. And I think those of us that were on the public art committee really looked at not doing bright, vibrant colors, but the rust colors that would go with the town. So I just wanted to make a plug for that because I think that's a really great idea. Plus some of the other ideas that have come forth and have been presented, I think are equally as good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ricci. Other public comment?
I don't see it on here, but my name's Kel Robertson. I live at the corner of University and Bowman, and just the construction going on with the walking path, the removal of the irrigation ditch, it creates.
So that would be something that would be discussed under item number 8 on that.
So should I come back after that?
You'll just hold off on that,
Okay.
and then you can give the comments on at that time for sure. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Mr. Robinson.
Mary Lucero Messia, I just want to comment on the murals. We've never really had that many, and I don't know why you guys want to change the dynamics of what Messia is, but murals just shouldn't be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucero. Other public comment? Seeing as there is no other public comment, we'll move into our next order of business, which is action and consideration. First item on the agenda is for discussion only, and that's the ordinance for mural sculptures and public art. That was brought to you in a previous discussion in a work session, and then it has gone through the public hearing as well as through the commission. So the intent is to have further discussion on the ordinance as it's been proposed, and then have the potential of moving it forward at the next meeting for adoption. You'll note that the items in red are the changes that were made as suggested by the board during the previous discussion. So I'll open the floor for full discussion or any other overview that may need to be seen.
I had a question.
Trustee Nevadas.
Under general requirements for public art, there is a second item, second bullet says comply, the third bullet, avoid offensive, discriminatory, and defamatory content. So I'm assuming the Public Arts Committee is going to be reviewing that for that content. And will they receive training in relation to certain discriminatory type issues, or, can be very complex. So.
Yes. I don't know, trustee, I can't answer if the committee would receive training specifically. I mean, that could be a direction that's given by the Board of Trustees to do that in reviewing this, but also in thinking of the PAC or the Public Arts Committee, and as it's defined in here, and who's comprised of it, all professionals, and looking at as well as members of the Board of Trustees and member of the Planning and Zoning Commission that would be assigned to that for full review.
All right. Thank you.
Mayor,
Trustee.
I guess my only concern is on page 2. So the back of page 1 it says district specific guidelines. Item letter B, if a mural contains advertisement or the name of a business, it must meet the requirements of the signage ordinance, which is 18.65. So I know it has to go through and follow that ordinance. So I'm okay with that. But I guess my concern too is I don't want murals to start popping up on maybe one wall of businesses advertising their business. So, I mean, that may be a little overboard, but I mean, that's initially what I thought of is people wanting to paint murals on their businesses and then, again, promote their business or their advertisement. But again, as I mentioned, it does have to go through the.
Well,
My
that,
concern.
that was the point, given the last discussion, because we wanted to make sure that we had the verbiage in there in specific that for any type of name or advertisement of the business that it conformed to the sign ordinance as it's written presently. There's been no changes to the sign ordinance as it is, so we still have to comply with the number, the size, so on and so forth. It would just have the option of being painted on the building or onto a structure or whatever the case may be as it's determined by that business, but following that ordinance in 1865. That help for that as well.
No, I know, that's why I mentioned that.
Great. Yeah. And all of those are reviewed and have, as it's noted in item G there, have final approval by the Board of Trustees in that specific, in HR and HC zoning, as well as the R1 zone. Any other questions or discussion on this item?
I just had a quick question relating to freedom of speech. Was that discussed at the meeting? Because I wasn't present for the last meeting. In case somebody wants to put something in there claiming, it's a free speech type of an issue.
It's a good point, but
Because it opens all kinds of things, so.
I don't think it wasn't brought up, but there again with the oversight that's done through all the committee as well as the commission and the board of trustees and several of these, I think that everything can be reviewed as it needs to be. And that can be taken into consideration. Remember that this does have to do a final review by legal as well. It has not gone through that review yet before it is brought to you for approval. So there might be some other changes and recommendations, and that can be something that's
It
brought
could
up.
open a can of worms that we don't want to go through, so.
Correct.
Thanks.
So I'll inquire with legal on that specifically, which is present this evening. So any questions otherwise or further discussion?
I think this is good. I mean, I think it's better to have the guidelines and be able to improve them than not to have anything and just have it be haphazard. Do we want to include something of I mean, we can always review them. I know that. But on some of them that we do, we actually say we'll review it in a certain amount of time and then see see what kind of cases have come up or if there's been a First Amendment situation, right? Or those kinds of things. So I don't know if we want to add something like it'll be reviewed annually like we have at some, or we can have a presentation by the committee that we develop or something like that that tells us kind of where we are, because it's easy to lose track of things. But that's just, I don't know if everybody agrees with that. I just am thinking since it's kind of new.
Definitely. And I think that trustee, to answer that under the role of the Public Arts Committee on number 5 in specific, and that last one with the oversight and reporting, is that the PAC will specifically report quarterly to the Board of Trustees on activities, approved projects, and any challenges or opportunities for public art development. So we would be seeing that every quarter by being brought forward with questions or however that may be, so that can be reviewed quarterly rather than
Annually. Or
annually.
anything else. Yeah, no, that's great. I'm sorry. I did read that and it just didn't register.
And then the PAC will also recommend updates to the ordinance if they're needed. Any other questions or discussion? Great. Seeing as there is none, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is discussion concerning the Municipal Ordinance Jurisdiction Advisory Committee. I just did the acronym MOJAC there just because that's a mouthful on everything. So first part of that discussion is the timeline for committee, public hearing, meeting review, recommendations to the Board of Trustees, so on and so forth. I did provide, so it just to follow up on the last meeting in that. So what we're in all of this discussion, and legal, if you want to jump in at any time, you're more than welcome to, if need be, or if there's questions per se in the discussion. But what we're looking at is State Statute 35-14-1 for the municipal court in specific, and looking at the municipalities that are fewer than 10,000 residents, 25 miles within a magistrate court, not governed by home rule, territorial special charter. The resolution was passed by the governing body at the last meeting, expressing the intent to possibly designate the magistrate court to hear municipal ordinances in that, and just to do a review through this committee of everything that's here. So we would form an advisory committee with this. That committee is formed within 15 days of the resolution, which was passed at the last meeting. So it would be formed this evening. The form of the committee is made up of 7 different members. The members include the mayor, the judge, the one of the trustees, a member of the trustees, the marshal, and then 3 residents, each of which one resident is appointed by the mayor, by the judge, and then 1 resident by the members of the trustees. There is a time to hold a public hearing on that, so posted public hearings would take place. And then there would be a review of the information through the public hearing that would be heard by the committee. That does include testimony given by all interested parties. That does include the mayor giving testimony, the judge giving testimony, the marshal giving testimony, and all of that. And then from there, the committee reports back to the Board of Trustees with any possible recommendations to at that point in time. So with that timeline of schedule, as I pass it out to you, on there tentatively scheduled the formation of the committee this evening by the designated representatives. Then there would be confirmation and acceptance of all committee members by tomorrow on that, for that 15-day notice being taken care of. Then we would have a posting and notification of a public hearing at all posting locations online. And I do want to include the posting on the utility bill that would be sent out at the end of the month for all of our residents to be aware. So that posting for the public hearing would be posted as soon as Wednesday of this week. The committee public hearing date tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, June 10th. Minutes to be taken by the town clerk treasurer. As I mentioned before, public hearing to include testimony from the mayor, the judge, the marshal, and any other interested parties. And then at that public hearing, there'll be initial discussion and review concluding the public hearing. And then I anticipate that there'll be further discussion potential. So there might be another meeting that's scheduled the following day on Wednesday, June 11th, if necessary, to fully review any other information that comes out of the public hearing. There might be another public hearing that's scheduled, more review, and whatever the committee may determine is necessary. The anticipation would be for the committee to provide a recommendation to the Board of Trustees on Monday, June 23rd, at our regularly scheduled meeting that day. So that's the timeline on that committee hearing, review, and recommendations. Any questions so far? Trustees? Judge, questions? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Henry DiMatteo, and I'm sorry, but I don't know most of you, which is not a testament to the relationships. But I would like, just for purposes of record, official record, I would like to know the expressed purpose, the intent, and the scope. Is the committee looking at all things on the table? For example, are we looking at anywhere from enhancement to dissolution? Are we looking at funding issues? I would like it as a matter of official record that this audience be reminded of the purpose and the intent, because that's what's very important. Because this particular court and the advisory committee represent a major part of the community and needs to be taken with the utmost of seriousness. So with that in mind, purpose, intent, scope.
To answer that for you, Judge, as well, is the full intent is to review everything as it is and the information that comes out in the hearing. There's nothing that's been predetermined by anything, and we'll review all of the information that follows the state statute and as that. So,
Mayor, is there any other department that will endure such accountability or such scrutiny?
Judge, this is given by state statute.
Yes.
That's why we're following the recommendations by the Supreme Court and changes in law that were made in 2023.
Just for point of clarification, does it include any other department?
This is strictly for the municipal department.
So noted. Okay. Any questions of the podium? Sorry.
Yes, sir. And of course, Judge, throughout this, you're a big part of this, Judge DiMatteo. So any questions throughout this specific process right now to this evening, definitely ask, feel free to stand up and ask those questions or note any information there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Trustees, any discussion on the timeline or any questions in general about this whole thing?
I just had a comment or a question, however you want
Trustee
to take
Nevares.
it. Yes. Kind of as a follow-up, will the committee receive a written charge that this is what they're charged to do? I mean, normally when you create something like this, you charge them, and includes the scope of work and things like that, items like that, so that they're not going off on tangents. They're, looking at this. Is the committee going to receive a written type of a document relating to those items?
So just as the judge has brought up already, it's a review of every little bit in there, and information that's brought through in testimony that might be in operations that are working great and keeping everything going as is. It might be financial operations. It might be issues with other departments. It might be, anything and everything that comes forward out of all of this. So, and that's taken into consideration as that. It could be interactions from the public that the public has had, and so on and so forth. So it's all in review and taken in by the state statute as it's been applied. Legal, I don't know, Robert, if you have anything you want to add on that or not.
Mayor, council, I would think essentially whatever controlling documents, if you wanted something, you'd have the resolution for formulating the committee from the 28th of April. Then you would have the one from now, and then have that as the sort of governing documents. And then, of course, just take testimony. And whoever's going to be the chair from that committee would have to, of course, like any other committee or group, keep people on track because obviously it could go into a number of things, and you can go off on any tangent in any group. So I think that's the only thing that you really have to be careful of. And other than that, I don't know if you would need more formal documentation other than, again, the resolutions that you already have. Maybe a copy of the ordinance. I mean statute, sorry.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. With this as well, so I think it was also brought up on the chair. So because the committee would be run by a chair, and so on that first date of the public hearing, there would be formalization once that meeting starts before the public hearing for there to be a chair nominated by the committee for general operations and running through of all of that with order, as it's been noted. Other questions?
Mayor, excuse me, I'll just take this opportunity to make my comments. Unfortunately, due to my illness, I wasn't able to attend the last board meeting when this was brought up. I have concerns. We have a committee that is going to be formed. We don't know the skill set of the members of the committee. They're going to be subject matter experts on the criminal justice system, the process, what the judicial system is designed for. And then, yes, it's very vague in direction and guidelines given this. And I think there are other alternatives that could have been improvised before forming a committee just because statute states it. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, trustee. Any other discussion?
I just, I think intent is very important in this, and process is that, the intention, I am with you bringing this up last meeting was that, I'm taking it at face value that there's a statute out there that was written and passed by New Mexico to give us the opportunity to review this situation with municipal court. So I'm taking that as at face value, and that it is worth looking at to see what we can do, if there's a need to change it or not. I mean, it is very valuable, the municipal court. I do think that with this large of a committee and with the people that would be involved, any expert that is needed outside of this committee will be consulted. I'm assuming that if somebody feels like they need more expert information or expert testimony or legal information, that we will get that, and that will be available to this committee. Because I think, I do think that it raises concern for people. And I think we have to be very transparent. And I think this is an attempt to do that. And by including the actual participants, like the judge, is very important. So I just think that we have to, that is what the intent is that it's only to see what, if this is serving the town of Mesilla the way it should, and or if we need to make changes, and that everything and nothing is on the table. We may not make any changes at all. But I do, I'm concerned that we're not in a hurry, though, to do it, and that members of the committee can meet for long enough to really kind of sort through the possible scenarios that we could face for any changes that we make. And I think that the town residents have made it clear that this is important to them. And I think we need to honor that very, very astutely.
I have a question, a follow-up. I didn't hear when the residents made it clear that they wanted the committee. Are you speaking?
No, I'm saying that residents have made it clear to me.
I just wanted clarification.
Yeah.
I thought I missed. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
This isn't a new conversation. This isn't coming up for the first time now. This isn't something that's been discussed or thought about in this moment. At the Municipal League, this was something that when the state statute came out, a lot of municipalities were talking about. And it's not about a specific person or one specific place. It's about the challenges that the courts have faced throughout New Mexico and smaller municipalities. So this isn't something new. This was something that has been talked about a lot and implemented in other smaller municipalities as well. It was also talked about at the coffee convos with the mayor from Las Cruces, as well as our mayor, and several judges that were there in attendance and lawyers that were in attendance, and just the difficulties that they faced with smaller municipalities financially or in general. So, or legally. So this is not something new, and it's definitely something that we can look into. And I don't think it's one way or the other. Like we said, our intent with this committee is to see what's best for our town, and whether that's, as the judge said, full dissolution, or we have some kind of hybrid court system, whatever the case may be. It was to look into it to see what benefits our residents, the court, financially, any burdens that we have as a small municipality that not only we're facing. So this was a bigger issue in general across the state. So I think it's good that we're doing our due diligence to see if there's a better way to do this here, or if what we're doing now is working. So I think it's just our intent, or my intent, is to see the full scope of what's going on and what's the best option for our town.
Any other discussion? Trustees?
I think the timeline is a little bit 1 month. I mean, to get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people together and have a thorough discussion about this. I'm just thinking the timeline's a little bit squashed.
I agree.
It's
Because I don't see 9 people getting together twice a week or something.
it's 7 individuals, not 9.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't count
But
either.
even at that, this is suggestive and tentative, so
Okay.
it would
Well, I'm
be
just-
dependent upon everybody's availability that is available.
Yeah, it's 7 people, but so yeah, I just think there's, I mean, for as important as this is, doing this in 1 month in the summer vacation time is just going to be really tough for anybody.
And these are all suggestive dates, as I mentioned already, so it's going to be dependent upon everybody's availability all the way around. Trustee.
I think my questions have been answered because I had similar concerns. This is an important decision, and recommendations coming out of the committee are very important. It looks like the timeline is, to me, seem compressed, and so not giving it enough time for the thought process to come up with recommendations, or to get information to make a recommendation. So if it's flexible, I feel better about it than having this. I thought this was a rigid timeline for the community. Thank you.
Definitely. Any other discussion? I think there was a great point that was brought up, that members of that are chosen to be the residents possibly have the consideration of having a legal background, being a judge, being having background within this is huge. It could be also that they were in elected positions or whatever the case may be. That might be another thing to take into consideration. And with that, I think moving into the next part, the mayor, resident representative, the resident that I would be appointing, or will be appointing, I should say, to this committee is Miss Elizabeth Ellis. And Miss Ellis, if you are not familiar with her, she is a retired NMSU General Counsel and has served as that in that capacity, teaching as well in that capacity. So Miss Liz Ellis, will be my nomination, or not nomination, my appointed person as the mayor to be on this committee. With that, then we can move into the judge and who the judge has as his appointed person for the committee.
My nomination is Miss Veronica Garcia. She's knowledgeable of the process. She's competence personified. So she will be an asset towards the committee. Excuse my Mickey Mouse voice.
Fantastic, thank you.
If you have questions of Ms. Garcia, she is present.
Judge DiMatteo, I appreciate that. Great. Then the next item on the agenda is approval, but we need nomination first of through a selective process for the BOT representative for this
Point of order,
committee.
Mayor. On the sheet you handed out, it has 3 residents.
Correct. One that's appointed by the mayor,
So
one that's appointed by the judge, and then one that's appointed by the trustees. So as you see on our agenda, we have approval for nomination of a BOT representative as item C, and then item D is a nomination of a BOT resident representative. So you all will choose amongst yourselves.
Tonight, when we have nobody, no conversation, we're gonna like pick someone?
You can put a name forward or several names forward, and we can do that on that side.
That is
This was
just-
fully discussed at the last meeting as well, which I know that you weren't present at, unfortunately.
And I don't know that names were brought up.
No, they were not. We did not
So
discuss.
this is a last minute thing that we're gonna pull names. Never mind, that, I'm done. No comments, no further comments.
Nomination of BOT representative to the committee. And I will open it up to the floor on that nomination.
I nominate Jerry. He is interested in taking the trustee position.
Are there any other nominations on the floor? Trustee Nevadas, do you accept nomination?
Yes, I do.
If I can have a motion to approve Trustee Nevadas as a nominee to be the representative on the committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. I will open it up for further discussion. Seeing as there is none, Gloria, roll call vote, if you would, please.
Cadena,
Yes.
Yes.
Johnson Garrett,
No, only because I'm not comfortable with the way this process has been done. Thank you.
Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses and 1 no.
Thank you very much for approval of that nomination, and Trustee Nevadas on that, accepting that nomination for the committee. Next item is a nomination of a resident for the Board of Trustees on this. If you all have a resident that you would like to nominate.
Yes. I wanted to nominate Jesse Ontiveros. He has a background in military and compliance, so I think that would be a good addition.
Is there any other nominations?
I have somebody to nominate. The person's name is Fred Heinrich. He's a practicing attorney. He presently is an attorney for Sunland Park casino and racetrack. And he also has in the past served as a substitute judge here in municipal court. So he has experience with the hearings here at municipal court. And I think he would be a valuable asset to the committee, given that he has done also the work that is being looked at.
Any other nominations on the floor? Seeing as there is none, we can vote on each individual, and you get one vote on that. Well, I don't vote on that. It's you all on that. So those in favor, let's do it formal. Let's just go down the line, and out of Jesse or Fred, Gloria, if you'll take a roll call and just state the person that you have as a recommendation. Jesse with military background and compliance, and Fred, who is an acting attorney on that side. Yep. So just go down the line.
For Jesse. For Jesse.
Trustee Cadena,
Fred?
Trustee Johnson Burek,
Neither, based on my previous comments. Thank you.
Trustee Nevares,
Mr. Fred Heinrich.
Okay. Great. So then the nomination is for Mr. Fred Heinrich to be on the committee. If we can have a formal approval of that, a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Trustee Nevada, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. And I will open it up for discussion. Laura, if you can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson Burek,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick.
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses and 1 no.
Thank you for the nomination and approval of Mr. Fred Heinrich to be the committee representative on that. So that will be confirmed with him, with all members upon the next item, which is the approval of the formal formation of the 7-member Municipal Ordinance Jurisdiction Advisory Board that does include Mayor Hernandez, Judge DiMatteo, Trustee Nevades, Marshal Escarte, Resident Liz Ellis, Resident Veronica Garcia, and Resident Fred Heinrich. If I can have a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor for approval of the formal formation of the 7-member Municipal Ordinance Jurisdiction Board by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevades. We'll open it up for discussion.
Just make a comment. I have absolutely no doubt in former trustee Garcia and fellow trustee Navarez to serve on the committee, as well as the additional people that were selected. So it's a good group. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Motion is on the floor for approval of Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevades. Gloria, if you'll roll call vote, please.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson Burek,
No, because I don't believe that we need an advisory committee at this time so rushed. Thank you.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick.
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses and 1 no.
Thank you very much for approval of the 7-member Municipal Ordinance Jurisdiction Advisory Committee. Next item on the agenda is approval for Resolution 2025-34 for budget adjustments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena, and I will open it up for discussion. Benny. No discussion. I do want to bring up, just in full transparency and talking on this, that previous budget adjustments that we've done on here is the adjustments have been transfers from fund to fund and all of that. Well, what we're here in this budget adjustment is specifically pulling money out of the general fund and reserves in the amount of $100,000 to cover budget shortfalls. So that's exactly what this budget adjustment is for, because we do have a budget shortfall and an overexpansion of a fund in specific. So, and it's in the general fund under the executive budget. So you do see that.
Mr. Mayor, a question. So this wasn't brought up in the work session. Was it with the budget that we're planning for the next fiscal year?
The numbers are on
Right.
the budget worksheet, correct.
Okay.
And the numbers are also in the finance report that was given out that
So-
has each department and the specific line items that you see.
Right. I'm familiar with budgets and numbers, but
So where
not
you
an
see,
expert. So what is the budget shortfall in and why?
so you see what we see here under the executive or the governing body is
Yes.
our in operating expenses is the budget shortfall presently of 54,000 in that,
Right.
which is that negative in there.
So
And
we're having to pull from the general fund. Are we going to hope to? I'm hoping this is not going to be a reoccurring issue every year, pulling from our reserve fund. Did you say general fund or reserve fund? Where are we pulling it from?
well, from the reserves,
That's what I thought you said.
yes,
So,
fully being pulled from the reserves. If you go to,
and that's fine. I guess I'm concerned with this becoming an annual thing. If we can't design a budget that we need to work within to start taking from our reserves, I just have a concern.
wholeheartedly agree. The money coming out of the executive fund and on this and the breakdown, just as it's been provided in the financials to you in full transparency and getting that information out there to you. And the reason, we have to do this is legal fees that have been paid out in that sense in specific under the fund that we've had to pay. So we're having to pull money out to pay for legal fees and the over budget part and the spending on that part.
So were we not keeping track of the legal fees, or is this?
Yes, of course.
something Okay, related to litigations that we weren't planning, or just legal fees in general?
These are not, if you look at the breakdown as it is in the budget report, it shows it in there. There's general matters that are in there. There are fees that are for general matters that we deal with or that I deal with our town attorneys. And then there's court matters as well that are dealt with specifically for the police officers and dealing with the courts in the municipal side and hearing that municipal side and the cases that are being heard, such as the DWI, such as codes cases. Those are the court fees and cases that are heard here in the court that are not general matters. And so the overexpansion right now is in the court fees in specific and the court costs of that.
For clarifying and being.
Any other questions? Wanted to bring that forward for clarifying the normal budget adjustment that we go through. Seeing as there are no other questions, with the motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena for Resolution 2025-34. Gloria, if you'll roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Johnson Burek,
Yes.
Nevares,
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4 yeses.
Thank you very much for approval of 2025-34, resolution 2025-34 for budget adjustments. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2025-35 for destruction of records.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by trustee Johnson Burek, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. I will open it up for discussion, if any. Seeing as there are none, Gloria, if you'll roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Cadena,
Yes.
Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4 yeses.
Great. Thank you very much for approval of resolution 2025-35 for destruction of records. Next item on the agenda is approval of the 2027 to 31 ICIP and reorganization on that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by trustee Johnson Burek. And I will open it up for discussion. And on this, we will be adding in phase funding for the plaza, for work to be done on the plaza that would include, seating, electricity, and ambient music, and or speaker system, and then shade structures for the parks, and the potential of arts and cultural storytelling installations on government side, and then upgrades to paths and parks, if you will. I'm focusing on those. Any other questions or discussion?
Do we need to formally add the historical inventory, security upgrades, and the packs for the fire department?
Those are all dependent upon grant funding right now. They'll be moved into the next spot and in that request. Any other discussion? Yes, Judge.
Would someone define for me a storytelling location? It's a costly venture. The question I have is, how does this add value to the community? I can tell a story in that alley. I can tell a story outside the fire station. So the question I have is this a designated facility? And how does this operate? Because I think the community deserves value-added activity. And I don't see where a storytelling facility dedicated for such purpose adds value to the community. A portion of a park, but I think for purposes of the record, I think we need to clarify what this actually does, because there may be monies well spent in essential services, fire, police, that may be better served. If we have a shortfall, then perhaps we need to, instead of spending money, tighten our budget. If you're bleeding from your finger, you don't cut off your arm. And that's the effect. And I don't mean to be nitpicky, but I mean to be nitpicky, okay? Because I want what's best for everyone. But storytelling may have its place, but I don't know that it is that imperative. Just saying. Thank you.
No. Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the ICIP? Seeing as there is none, no further discussion, motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by trustee Johnson Burek. Gloria, if you'll roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4 yes.
Thank you very much for approval of our ICIP listing and moving that forward to get that completed as part of this budget process. Next item on the agenda is approval of fiscal year 25-26 preliminary budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Burek. I will open it up for discussion. Any? Seeing as there is none, Gloria, if you'll roll call vote, please.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4 yes.
Okay, thank you very much for approval of the fiscal year 25-26 preliminary budget. Next item on the agenda is approval of DAC vector control agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Burek. I will open it up for discussion.
Yes, I just want to make sure that we double check Ms. Garcia's concerns about the bees. That's a big part of our community, so just making sure that that's done. Other than that, no, they're
Most definitely.
I just have a question. I know that we partnered with them last year or the year before, and previous to that, we hadn't done it. Did you hear of anything pro or con regarding that partnership or anything? Yeah, I was just wondering how it had gone, but
Well, I know that, in speaking with the trustee and speaking to that and speaking with Robert Herrera, that's in charge of that whole department for the county,
right.
is that if there was any need to have additional services provided throughout any of the town, it just needed to be brought to our attention, and then we could let them know and do that. I will say that there was during Fiesta time in specific, or when we knew we were going to have, now that I think about it, when we have public events, to do change the schedule so that it met closer to that event. That was a feedback that I did receive on that.
Okay. Yeah, because we definitely have a mosquito problem. When they come, they're bad.
Little
So
vampires.
okay. And
Trustee?
maybe
Sorry.
we could notify through the billing, like just a number to kind of when people are having serious problems with it, and not to have the office bombarded with mosquito season or thinking that I got to have my house done, but just to have just to have that out there so people do feel like they can report, really bad situations.
Great. Trustee?
I just was bringing up some items that some residents made comments about the spraying because it's done early in the morning. And I know it's needed for mosquito control, but the questions or the comments from some of the residents were, is this safe? Is this safe for people and pets? Some people say they sleep with the windows open and they're spraying, and so they're concerned about that, but I don't know. I mean, I can't answer the question. The other one is that if some people have fruit trees and other things that are used for consumption that are growing along the road, is it safe to consume these items? So I don't know where these questions would be directed when you have residents that bring up these types of questions.
Definitely. We can they can be directed to Public Works.
Okay.
Or to my office in particular.
All right.
We can follow up. Any other questions? Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Burek. And if there's no further discussion, Gloria, if you will roll call vote, please.
Trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Trustee, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4 yes.
Thank you very much for approval of our DAC vector control agreement. Next item on the agenda is public input, where the public is allowed to speak to the board on any other issues. This would be opportunity for any other public input and comments.
Hello, Council. My name is Kel Robertson. I live at the University in Bowman, so right along the new walking bicycle path construction project. And when I moved into the property, the irrigation ditch was there.
So sorry.
You're fine. Anyway, you don't realize how much security and privacy you have by that physical structure being there until it's gone. So now it's gone. You see the roadway going by. The potential for new traffic coming through with the improved roadway, with the bicycle path, footpath. It's going to bring in a lot of additional transients, a lot of additional traffic, a lot of additional walking traffic, which just brings eyes into my property and to everybody else's property along the road, which is going to increase crime. It's going to increase all kinds of issues to be foreseen. So there's also aesthetic concerns just from a project in general. You drive up University now, you got no fence, you got chain link fence, you got rock wall, you got picket fence, you got sideways slat fence. It's not very aesthetically pleasing for such a huge project to be going through, especially for a community like Mesilla. I'm hoping that there's discussion to put in some sort of a barrier or a wall or something of that nature. I understand it's a DOT project and not a Mesilla project, though I assume Mesilla had input going into it. Most walking paths that I've seen, they border to, DOT property or state land or something of that nature, but not people's backyards for the most part, usually. Additionally, in the last about a year, somebody's ramped over the ditch and crashed into my garage. If that ditch hadn't been there, it probably went through my garage and probably tore it down. We had a murder just outside of my garage right there. So just safety concerns, both of all types. Just wanted to put and then also I did come to get information regarding possibly putting up a fence of my own to, block the view. But my understanding is that there's a 6-foot limit, and that's from my ground level, which is about 2-3 feet lower than what the sidewalk level is going to be. So it's basically pointless for that to happen. The most cost-effective way for a resident to put in a visual barrier would probably be an R-panel fence, which I understand Mesilla just generally does not allow. So these are my concerns. I don't have a solution to offer right now, but hoping you guys are at least thinking about it, and hopefully there will be something to address it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Other public comment?
Veronica Garcia. Thank you, Trustee Mayor Pro Tem, for mentioning it. It's usually my dad, Jerry Garcia, that brings up, and Debbie would tell him not to spray on that rod and so on. Also, the former mayor would tell him not to. It is a pesticide. A bee is an insect, so it will kill them. So I'll refer it again. That business has been there since 1943, so we've never been sprayed before. I would appreciate it if it doesn't, because if not, you won't see me here. You'll see my dad. So I think I'm nicer than him. So I appreciate that. But in record, it is in record. It has been in record. It always has been in there. So I'm hoping you guys continue that. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Other public comment?
Mary Lucero, I'm going to go off the wall a little bit. I'm concerned about the construction. I mean, it's looking great, Calle Santiago, it really is. But I'm still concerned about what you're going to do with the park area where the small basketball goal is. I'm hoping you're not going to put parking right there. I do have photos of people playing basketball, adult men, not just the kids, but I do have photos of men, grown men playing on that basketball court. That park's used a lot. I'm worried about the incoming parking on the side in front of the community center on the park side. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a lot of space taken out on the west side of the park for 6 parkings. It was kind of, I mean, it looks great, but it's only 6 parkings. And you took a lot out of the park. So please quit messing with our park. Our kids play there a lot. Adults play there a lot. People go with their families. And quit messing with the park. Second was the court system. I missed a few meetings, so I'm kind of in awe about getting, I guess kind of the way I'm getting it is you guys want to get rid of our judge for our municipality. I'm wrong, totally wrong. Then what's the committee for? Like, I'm not getting it. I'm just not getting it. But if that's the case and you're trying to get rid of our judge, please don't. We need him. And then, not to be rude and crude, but if you guys keep going over the budget, then quit spending so much money that doesn't need to be spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucero. Other public comment?
Can you do me a favor? When they're doing that dirt, can you tell construction guys to put a barrier on it? Because those kids are climbing that dirt. And if someone gets hurt, who's going to be responsible? Us. There's no barrier on it. There's no do not play on the dirt. There's no nothing on it. That's bound to happen. Please put a barrier on that thing. That has to be a safety thing on that, right there on that ditch on Calle de, was it Calle de Picacho? By that park. And I like the damn parking. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
I am coming up as a resident. I'm going to back what Kel's saying. I also live on the back of that, and that is a concern. There's not really a.
State your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Crystal Whiten.
Not that we don't know who you
Yes.
are.
Sorry. We have the same concern, don't really have a good solution on how to kind of protect and make our property private. So don't have a solution. So, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Other public comment? Seeing as there is none, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is Board of Trustee Committee Reports and Liaison Updates. We'll start with Trustee Nevadas.
I don't have anything to report.
Trustee Johnson Bjork.
No liaison report, and then we do have an MPO meeting this Wednesday, May 14th at 1 p.m. in the Board of County Commission chambers.
Thank you. Trustee Cadena.
We'll have a meeting. I'll be in a meeting on Wednesday also for the Friends of the J. Paul Taylor
Great.
Historic Site. That's
Thank
all
you.
I have.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. Okay. So Lorenzo's on leave. He gave me a couple updates. He said that A Mountain will start the demolition of the ADA ramps at the corner of Calle de Santiago and Calle de Principal. That will be going west to Calle Arroyo. And then the bridge work, they have poured all the concrete and they'll start doing dirt work to get that covered. They also grinded up the street and to put in utility lines. He has a few touch-up projects going on in the plaza. He didn't specify. And then that's all he has. And then we also have MPO this Wednesday. I'll make sure that we ask DOT about the university project and who we can talk to. But I also encourage you to go to the MPO meetings and make public comment. So because DOT is there, they have a representative there. That's Wednesday at 1 o'clock. What chamber are we?
We're at the Board of County Commissioners at the Government
County
Center on
chambers.
Motel.
Wednesday at 1?
Yes, Wednesday at 1. Trustee Johnson Burek, myself, and the mayor are also part of that board. I'll make sure that I make comments to ask if I know when this project was introduced, it was during the previous administration that worked on it. So I don't know the specifics about it, but I do know there was a wall, and because of budget purposes and cost, and by the time they got to the project, they had scrapped that wall because of pricing. I'm hoping I can get some answers, but I'll also ask while we're at the meeting. But I'm encouraged to make public comments there.
Ideally, would be like a sound barrier, like a
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So hopefully we can get some answers or solutions, or at least a plan to move forward with that, because it has been an issue.
Is there a specific room at the county?
It's in their chamber, in the, what is it called?
It's, yeah, in the commission chambers. So when you enter the government center, you just walk right in front of you. And there'll be somebody there to direct you as well. But it's right there.
And that's all of my liaison reports.
Great. Thank you very much. And trustees, thank you for your updates and being representative of the town at these meetings as well. As it was mentioned, we do have MPO coming up at 1 o'clock. The Friends meeting is at 2 instead of 3, so I won't be at that one as well, since they switched that on that. There's been several other meetings that I've attended, probably too many to list, but we've also been working on the budget diligently to get it to where it needs to be so we can get it submitted. So I appreciate you all for everything that you do to help to support otherwise in that aspect. So with that, we'll just move into the next item on the agenda, which is Board of Trustee and staff comments. We'll start with the Marshal's Department.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Fiesta weekend went pretty good. No major issues on our end, minus the wrong way drivers on the one ways. A lot of people, this isn't where I parked my car, and a couple fender benders, but no injuries. Our interns did the best they could at the crosswalk. We're reevaluating that, and we may put an officer there because people were not respecting them to an extent. Sergeant Hernandez just completed first line supervisor training in Hobbs this past week. She's going to come back with a lot of knowledge. Can't wait to hear what she's going to bring back from that. The body armor, the outer vest, and updated plates and rifle armor that you guys approved, we're expecting those to be delivered by the end of the month or first week of June. My department and personnel, thank you for approving the purchase. And then I got some other stuff. So it's only May 12th, and we've already done 41 traffic citations for the month. Half of those have been speeding in all 4 of our active school zones. You see me out there almost every day on Avenida. There's just too many for me to get, but I get what I can. And then a lot on the one-way street on University. Those lead to other infractions of registration, insurance, no DL warrants. So you're going to see us out there a lot in all 4 school zones and on University. I had some leftover money that I needed to spend, and you'll see the purchase request coming through you guys for 2 new LiDARs. Those are handheld radars to where they measure speed, distance, following too close. I was able to purchase 2 of those. I'm hoping to get those before the end of the school year. And you're going to see us on Avenida. So all of you and you, don't speed. Avenida is a racetrack morning and afternoon. They're careless with the lights on, so we're going to try to deter that. And then I was at a meeting last week in Albuquerque, and I was talking with Chief Jeremy Story from Las Cruces Police Department. A lot of my guys in the department had asked if we could be part of Operation Not in Vain. If you're not familiar with that, it's the operation they launched last year in memory of Jonah Hernandez. Talking to Chief Story, he would be happy to have us on there. My guys even offered to do it without pay. He's going to do it to where we target areas closer to Mesilla, Tortugas, Mesilla Park, Valley, Highway 20, or South Valley. And it's a multi-agency task force made up of LCPD, state police, DASO, New Mexico State University police chief was there talking. They're going to join us, ATF, HSI, DA, and a bunch of the other 3-letter abbreviations. So I'm looking forward to doing that. If you see us outside of Mesilla, we'll be helping that operation. I think that's beneficial to everyone. Try to catch it before it comes into the town limits. Other than that, I stand for any question.
Trustee.
And Marshall, I meant to reach out to you last week. Can we look at Calle de Norte again, getting some folks? I know you're busy. The last 2 weekends, it's been like the Daytona 500.
I know Lieutenant sits out there. The only hard part for us now that you put, not digging it, but the walking path right there, it cut away our turnaround zone. So it's really hard not to damage the units trying to chase after someone. But when I have swing shift out, I can have one on each end. So we'll target that. We're targeting Bouts again. We laid off that and they forgot that we own Bouts. So yeah, if you have any spots that need speeding, email me. If any constituents come to you, send me an email. Once we get the LiDARs, that will really help us because we can hit it easier than us parked on the side of the road. So thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. Fire Chief.
Mayor and trustees, apologize for not being here last meeting, but I was visiting my son and my grandkids. Thank you for allowing us to donate the old ambulance to the hospice. We're working on getting that. We just need a little time, get the stickers and everything off of it so they can put it to use. That's going to give it an extra life. We're working on our last bits of budget. Miss Gloria doesn't like seeing me. She's hiding behind the screen right now. But I can't carry over any of the EMS funds, so there's going to be some significant purchases. We've kind of been hanging on to some money because we didn't know what was going to happen. Concentrating on pre-buying EMS supplies that we go through and training equipment. So you'll see those come through as purchase requests. The auto aid agreement, now that Las Cruces has confirmed their chief, Chief Daniels, who was part of the auto aid agreement conversation, he was a big driver of that. Now he's the fire chief over there, so we're able to start moving forward a little bit. Doñana County's fire department is still, they're going to probably be about another 6 to 8 months before they get their fire chief set up, but they finally kind of reorganized their deputy chiefs, and I was speaking to Operations Chief Fehu today. So we'll be starting to work forward and move forward on that. We're already doing inter-department trainings, which is a big part of that, and that should help our ISO. So other than that, we have a lot of people taking training classes this month again, which is good. And that continues on. And if you have any questions. No. Okay. Thank you.
Chief. Community development. Economic development.
Hi, good evening, trustees, mayor. I got a few things, not very much. First of all, thank you for approving the record management resolution. We are working on that just about every day. We do have a volunteer that's going through all the files. We're scanning them, we're numbering them, and we're boxing them to until we got this approved, so we can get taking care of those, get rid of some of this clutter, hopefully, that we have, and organize our records a little bit better. We do have a New Mexico Municipal League training on our next meeting on the 19th. It's virtual. It's at 5 o'clock. It will be a workshop. Basically, it's my understanding. Rules of Order, I believe, is running commission in a sense. In case we have any questions, I think we all gonna benefit from it. Another training we do have coming up is on the 21st of May. It's going to be in Taos. I think I mentioned this before. I am kind of excited about that. They've really had some very, very good topics this time that I believe we should be bringing back some information, land use, infill, short-term rentals, those kind of things that we've been dealing with right now. Not dealing with, but we'll be working on. So I think I am kind of excited about that. Make some more contacts, network a little bit better, and maybe we can work together and help resolve some of our needs in a sense. With that, lodgers tax, STR, we did pass that ordinance a few months ago. I believe it was in February. We are in contact with some of the platforms online, trying to work together in getting our STR ordinance on their behalf, so that way we can start working together and enforcing some of these rules that were approved by the commission. So that's kind of exciting as well. Lastly, just I don't know, two more things. I'm sorry. First meeting in June. We are also going to have a workshop with COG. Finally, I think we believe we finished putting that together to have a workshop with the commission. Part of that workshop is going to be some proposed amendments changes on our ordinance. Ms. Liana has been working with Carla up in SHPO as far as putting our ordinance together in order for us to be able to qualify for that certification. So that's kind of exciting for that. So that'll be the first Monday of June. Again, it's a work session. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go from there, but at least it's a start when we're putting together our heads to see if we can get that going. And just lastly, we are still continue working on our website. Some of the fillable forms they're looking a little bit better. Again, that's another working process. Can always work on it every day, but little by little, we're taking care of it. I want to thank all the commissioners and all the board trustees and anybody that sent in their bio, sent in their picture or got their picture taken. I think it looks much, much better the way it was before. We all came out looking great. So I stand by for any questions. Yep.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it, sir. Laura.
Mayor, thank you for approving the budget. It's due May 31st, and Saturday, so I'll start working on that. The final budget is due at the end of July, so final numbers will be in. Once they approve the preliminary, final numbers will be entered starting in July. Thank you.
And as it was mentioned earlier, Lorenzo is on vacation, but there's a whole bunch of projects that we have going on that he does have oversight, and it's good that he's able to have the team to be able to take a little bit of time off, even though he told me today that he is cutting his vacation short because he misses working so much. So I don't know what's going on there. It's literally what he told me. And I know he's probably watching right now, so he probably hears that. But at any rate, we do have a bunch of projects going on our side, and we are working on them diligently. They are almost completed with the Avenida de Mesilla. They did all the striping. The one thing that we are hoping to hear back soon from is some sort of signaling fixture to go in by DOT at the crosswalk here across the street from Town Hall, which was a request that we had put in last year. And then universities moving along. We know that there are a lot of concerns in there, a lot of concerns being brought up with DOT as well. He gets those calls all the time too. So we'll continually to make the good fight for our community one way or the other, and ensure that we're communicating effectively as well. Calle Picacho is almost completed as well. Just waiting on that little bit of pavement to be finished there. Santiago is almost done, as it was mentioned by Mayor Pro Tem. The bridge is, I should say, which means that they'll start the surveying for all of the other areas here probably within the next week to 2 weeks. The bridge for Calle del Norte was postponed, and that one will actually be continued in likely November of next year. So just a few updates on some of those things that we have there on Lorenzo's behalf, along with beautifying projects that he's been working on, doing a lot of the landscaping and keeping everything maintained. We did have that project finished on the plaza with the planters at the end around the pine trees being filled in. There are a little bit of safety concerns and some things that we still will be addressing with that step, as it needs to be a visual aid on that part there. So working with Lorenzo to figure out that part on that side. We did get the cameras put in on the plaza, so that's another project that we're checking or almost completely checking off, I should say. So with that, we'll move into trustee comments, and I'll start with Trustee Nevares.
Yes, I'd like to commend Dorothy and everybody that worked on the recent Cinco de Mayo fiesta. I think it was well laid out, really spreading it out a little better. It really works for people attending that and creates, it doesn't create the bottlenecks sometimes that you had in some areas. I think everybody that attended was very grateful for the additional shade because it really helped when, during the afternoon session. So I think the fiesta was, I would think the way, it laid out and everything else, it was a great success, and I commend the staff and everybody that had anything to do with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Any other comments?
No.
Trustee Johnson Buick.
Yes, I agree with Trustee Navarro's comments for the Cinco de Mayo. It was very nicely laid out. It was great attendance and job well done. And as always, to all the staff that worked that whole entire weekend, all their hard work. So thank you very much. I think a barrier, four things. The barrier would be a great idea for the university. And yeah, I'll mention it as well. Maybe we can all tag team Aaron and bombard him at Wednesday's meeting, see what we can do about that. And yes, I just did want a clarification, and I misread the agenda for the BOT resident representative when I misunderstood it, just for clarification purposes. And then lastly, are we still scheduled for the May 19th Robert's Rules of Orders? Is that still going to take place? I should have asked you, Eddie, while you were up there, so my apologies. But yeah, just to make sure that we're still on board with that. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Cadena.
Ditto on Cinco de Mayo to the staff and law enforcement and everybody that shows up and participates. And thank you, citizens, for coming in and attending the meetings, because I think that's really important that we see your faces and you see ours, even though you only see some of our eyes, so we can't be identified out in public. But please encourage people as they're talking or having concerns about the community and what we're doing here to call us, because we have, I mean, if they can't make the meetings, they can call us on our phones. We're all published on the website, and I have cards. So please make sure that happens, so that because that's the only way we'll know what the thoughts are. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, the fiesta went really good. I'm there all weekend. We did really, really well considering that there was a huge rodeo in TRC. So I think that just shows Dorothy's work and the amount that she puts in it and the turnout that we had. I also wanted to clarify a few things that our residents here were asking. Judge, our ICIP is their capital requests that we give to legislators. So it's not our budget money per se. It's stuff that we feel that we need help with as a town, because financially there's no way that we could carry that burden. So a lot of these requests go to whether it's Colonias, grants, legislators. That's what we do. And a lot of this sometimes is guided by what legislators want. That's where they put their money. So, for example, Crystal Diamond is a huge supporter of law enforcement. She looks for projects that are with law enforcement. So it kind of just depends on the scale of where legislation is at and what they're looking for, and what we want. So it's kind of like Russell Mayor said, that we really push for the sky and look for things that we can't necessarily afford. And projects that we need help with for the overall community and their well-being. The other thing is on your question about oversight for departments. Each of us is a liaison for a department. So we work with them. We work closely with their budget, what they're doing, any resident concerns. So there is some oversights for other areas throughout our municipality as well, especially when it comes to budget. And to Ms. Lucero's question, we're not overspending our budget. Our departments did a really, really great job of being under budget and really not overspending and really laying out what they spend, what they do, where our money goes. That overspend came from, as the mayor said, for representation in our courts. And that shows throughout our budget. We're given a budget every month, and you can see exactly what's overspent, what's being done, and how all that's going. When you look at the budget here on the big one, you don't see the budget adjustments that we've had to make in order to compensate those losses. So even though it shows on here that we're good to go, we're zeroed out because of all the hard work Gloria does, doesn't mean that it's correct, that's not a reflection, and it doesn't show every adjustment that we've made throughout the year. So just a clarification on that. Other than that, I don't have any other comments.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Couple things on my part. The reminder that tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. For anybody that may be available, we are doing a dedication for the Blue Star Memorial by the Mesilla Valley Garden Club, along with our DAV, or the Disabled Veterans for Doñana County, and right here in Veterans Park at 1:30 tomorrow. So for those of you that are available, please come and join. We'll be doing that monument was put out there today. If you haven't seen it, it looks pretty sharp. And so it's going to be great to have that unveiled tomorrow. So thank you for that as well. The next, as Mr. Salazar had mentioned, this next Monday is our joint meeting with the Board of Trustees and the Planning and Zoning Commission for the parliamentary procedure, as well as Robert's Rules of Order at 5 p.m. That is that work session. Just to touch on that again, because I know we've all kind of done that. I do have a region meeting with DOT on Wednesday. I forgot about that for the committee updates and things like that as well. So I will be meeting with the entire DOT departments to go through everything roads in specific for that's their roads on Wednesday, and I will bring up some of the concerns that have been brought up by our residents over the past couple of meetings, it just in general, which have included University, which have included Union and Avenida de Mesilla, which have included Calle de Norte, which are all roads within their purview. So I'll bring these up in all of our conversations. Shout out again to Dorothy for the fiesta, Cinco de Mayo. Received a lot of great comments from attendees. Having the extra shade, I think, was one of the best decisions that we could have probably had, as well as some other seating options and availability there. Dorothy's energized and ready for the SECs, which is going to be quickly approaching us, and she's already started the planning for the Mesilla Queen, which has been one of the residents' requests, and bringing that back. So I better see some of you residents who have made those requests also putting your name in as a nomination for Mesilla.
Resolution, we got this.
Because you better believe those aren't little tiaras. These are big crowns that she's going for. So be ready for that. All right. So it should be a lot of fun to have that back. But Dorothy's ready for that, along with some other great planning that's being planned for the SECs. There was also a trash pickup by our local schools this past weekend, which was a complete success. If you didn't see those pictures that were posted online as well, So thank you to all the schools as well as the residents that participated with that, and we'll continue these trash pickups. We do have another one planned with the Monument and Office of Cultural Affairs a little bit down the line as we get towards Diez y Seis and that weekend in September. We did this last week. We also had the community meeting for our comprehensive plan, which I appreciate every resident that came out to be a part of that meeting. I think it's huge when we're able to really get that information, gather that information, and thank you to the Board of Trustees as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission for that meeting that we had the day before. That was a joint work session, and getting all of that information. Our goal is we're going to still gather more information, so we will hopefully be sending out another letter to or a postcard to all of the residents to participate. We do have those available here at Town Hall still, so that people can come and fill it out here with the staff, and we'll print out a copy for them, or they can do it on the computer that's right outside and taking care of that. So there's a lot of opportunity to still participate in all of that. The goal is still to have that the preliminary draft by August that we would be bringing to the Board of Trustees at that point in time. We do, let's see, that's that. We did talk, and just to, I guess, to just hit a little bit more on that the budget adjustment on that part. My intention was to, open honesty, was to just float it from other departments and make that happen so that we didn't have to pull out. But as it's been mentioned, these department heads have truly been managing their funds very effectively and running their budgets very effectively to the best of their ability. So it's not fair that for my fund and my spending that comes out of the executive, well, I shouldn't say mine. It's out of ours, because it's not just mine. It's every member of the Board of Trustees. It's the judge in that sense, as far as it pertains to those costs. We are the ones that are ultimately responsible for that. So yes, there does need to be extra oversight on that, but it's not fair for us to pull from other departments who are effectively running their budgets in order to take care of shortfalls that are not in their control. That also makes our budget go askew from where it traditionally should be. So I just want to point that out in all of this and all the information with that. One of the things that I think that could also be considered in ICIP, just because of the thought, and it's just something that to be brought up as a discussion at some other point in time, is it maybe if these talks and the communication with DOT for a barrier on university don't come to fruition in that sense, that might be something that we could add to our capital listing of projects to potentially look at in the future, and especially when we have grant opportunities like the RTP or the Recreational Trails Program, where we can do upgrades to trails once they are installed, and we take advantage of that. So that might be an opportunity in the future if this is not something that is taken into consideration by the Department of Transportation. Just as a thought, just to throw that out there. And with that, if there is no objection, time is now 7:36 in the evening, and I will call this meeting as adjourned. Thank you very much.